Hello, I hope you are all sitting quietly. We are the National Schools Observatory, proud to be part of Liverpool John Moores University. We would like to give you a very warm welcome and a big thank you for joining us for Santa's Space Vacation. I want to let you know, first of all, that we are recording, but that's only the presenters. So you might see a red little blob, that's just for us. The audience, that's you, you can't be seen or heard, but give us a wave anyway. Teachers, are you listening? We have some quick notes for you. If you need to get in contact, please reply to the email that you would have been sent. If for any reason you get disconnected, you can join via the link, the same link that we sent you. At the end of the tour of the solar system, we're going to do a vote, and for that you'll need access to the internet. This can be your phone or a tablet or computer. We'll give you instructions at the end. Thanks, teachers. Pupils, students, children, and any aliens, we have just two things for you. We're going to give you some instructions, but your teacher is always boss. Always listen to what they say. And number two, join in where possible and remember to have fun. So today we have lots of school joining us with around 2,000 people watching at the same time as you. Put your hand up if we shout out where you are right now. So we have people joining us in the south, in London, hello, out in Cambridge, Coventry, Birmingham and across the Midlands, in Wales. We have people in our hometown of Liverpool, hello Liverpool, Manchester, and up towards the northeast in Yorkshire, Middlesbrough, Newcastle, and finally a big welcome to any schools in Italy. Well, I'm glad there's so many of you. The other day we got a letter from someone special asking if we could help them. That letter was from Santa.
Ho, ho, ho! Dear National Schools Observatory, I need your help. Every year after Christmas, I usually take a well-needed holiday. This year, I wanted to make sure I stay socially distanced. So I've decided to go to space. My reindeer have no trouble traveling through space at the speed of light. But where should I go? There are so many amazing places to see. Ho, ho, ho! Your friend, Santa.
Wow, what a letter to receive. Well, wonder where is the best place in space to visit? We need your help to find out more about space and where Santa should go on his holiday. At the end, we're going to vote on our favourite place and we'll let Santa know what you all decide.
That is a big question. Where is the best place in space to visit? We're definitely going to need your help to decide which places are naughty and which places are nice. We're going to start off with our whole solar system. We've had some suggestions from Malvin's Close Academy, so let's hear what they have to say.
We need Santa to visit a planet in the solar system. It should not be Prudhoe because there's lots of gas. I say Saturn because he can stay around the rings. I say not ice planets because he'll freeze to death. I don't think Venus because the years are longer than the days. I think he should do Mars because scientists say there is life on Mars and you can give presents to them. An interesting fact about the sun is that the sun is a star. Interesting fact about Mercury is that it isn't the hottest planet because it doesn't have an atmosphere.
That was some great information there. Let's find out some more about the solar system from my friend Stacey at the Solar System Tourist Board.
So, Santa, you're ready to explore the solar system. It is the dream holiday destination for 2020. Wish you were here? You are. Sitting quietly on the third rock from the sun, planet Earth. Thank you, Santa, for giving us an idea of your past holidays. It's always good so that we know what you like. Trekking through the Sahara Desert and finding an oasis must have been amazing. There's a time you went exploring the scenery on the border of China and Vietnam, climbing up those spectacular waterfalls. Of course, you love to go scuba diving in the Great Barrier Reef off the coast of Australia. Then there was the time you went hiking the painted mountains of Peru. And of course, taking in the views at the Grand Canyon in America. You certainly love adventure, and I'm sure we can find some of that at another destination in the solar system. So, where next? How about the sun? Why not visit the only star in our solar system and bathe in its glorious heat? It's great for getting a tan, and if you like the feel of nuclear fuel under your feet. Want to adventure on a planet which has a longer day than year? Experience the best views of the sun from its closest planet, Mercury. Talk about extremes. How does a 400-degree daytime temperature take you? And what about minus 180 at night? If that sounds good, maybe Mercury is the destination for you. If looking into the future is more your thing, why not consider Venus, the planet with runaway global warming, leading to temperatures which are the hottest in the solar system. Heard about the healing properties of natural spas? Venus has them in abundance, if you don't mind the smell of rotten eggs, of course. Maybe not? Okay, what about continuing the adventures you've had here on Earth? Climb the highest mountain in the solar system and the longest canyon down on the surface of Mars. For something completely different, why not see what life has to offer on a spinning potato? Only joking, but seriously, the rocks in the asteroid belt will certainly have you going for a spin. If you want a big change of scene, then maybe the gas giant planets are more your thing. Jupiter is by far the biggest with much to offer. If you want the best views, try one of our excursions to any of its 79 moons. They have plenty to offer. Weather enthusiast? Why not take a peek at the giant storm raging on Jupiter's surface? The Great Red Spot's been there for centuries. And what about the planet Saturn? One of the most famous places to travel, with spectacular rings unparalleled in the solar system, to strange weather phenomena causing the most curious shapes in the clouds. There's always something to see here. How about the planet Uranus? Still so much to explore here. Witness the bluest skies you've ever seen, especially at sunset, and wonder how it would feel to spin north-south instead of east-west. Maybe it feels the same, but you can go and find out. Or what about the furthest planet from Earth? Really get away from it all on the unexplored Neptune. Just wrap up warm. It's an icy minus 200 degrees outside with winds of up to 2,000 kilometers per hour. What's the furthest you can travel in time to get back for preparing for Christmas 2021? Well, that would be the outer dwarf planet. What about a romantic break on Pluto's heart? Tasting some of the coldest water in the solar system on Charon? Or, if you miss the cold, how about stay on Makemake at a cool minus 240 degrees? So Santa, there's a whistle-stop tour of destinations in the solar system, but with so many to choose from, how about a little help from our friends?
I think there's one place in the solar system that Stacey didn't mention, maybe because it's too close to home, but Santa could visit the Earth's moon. It's so close it takes less than 2 seconds to get there at the speed of light, even though it's nearly 400,000 kilometers away. Is there much place for Santa to stay on the moon? Well, yeah, there's loads of choice. It's a quarter of the size of the Earth, but that's still a pretty big moon. Only Jupiter and Saturn have bigger moons, so lots of choice. So what's the weather like on the moon? Well, in the daytime, it's hot and sunny, over 100 degrees, but in the nighttime, it gets cold and dark, down to minus 170 degrees Celsius, and day and nighttime last about 2 weeks each. There's no rain on the moon, but Santa would have to watch out for meteor showers. All the craters on the moon have been made by impacts by meteorites over millions of years. Doesn't matter what month Santa visits the moon because it doesn't have seasons, because it doesn't have a tilt like the Earth. So what could Santa do there? Well, he could enjoy the low gravity and leap around the lunar maria, those dark areas of solidified lava. He could go trekking in the mountain regions, or he could explore impact craters like Tycho or Copernicus. And he could enjoy the views. He could look at our own planet Earth from the moon. though Santa would have to make sure he was on the right bit of the moon to see the Earth. Only the near side of the moon ever gets this view. The far side never faces the Earth. That's because the moon takes the same amount of time to rotate on its axis as it does to orbit the Earth. Other things he could do there are explore human history. The moon is the only natural place in space that humans have visited. The first mission went there in 1969, the Apollo 11 mission. And I bet some of you know the names of the astronauts who were part of the Apollo 11 mission. I maybe can hear you if you shout out. Oh, yeah, I heard someone say Neil Armstrong. There's Neil Armstrong. Buzz Aldrin. Anyone know the third member of the Apollo 11 mission? Well done if you knew Michael Collins, because a lot of people forget him. So they were the first people on the moon. 12 astronauts have visited in total, and the last left in 1972. 48 years ago today, they were starting their journey back to Earth, and no one has been there since. But maybe some more astronauts will go to the moon again soon. Maybe it'll be one of you watching. Hands up if you would like to be an astronaut. Oh, I can see some hands. I can see lots of hands. Well, if you want to be an astronaut, you need to be really good at listening and following instructions. Do you think you can do that? Are you good at listening and following instructions? Even if you think you are, do your teachers agree? Maybe not. Well, I'm going to test you. We're going to play a game to see if you can listen and follow instructions like astronauts. The game is called Simon Says. You might have played it before, but this one will have a bit of a space twist to it. We're going to imagine we're astronauts on the moon, and you need to listen out for instructions and follow the instructions. But, and this is the tricky bit, you should only follow the instructions if you hear me say mission control says. So if I don't say mission control says, don't follow the instruction. Should we have a go at playing the game and see how well you do? And maybe your teachers can let us know in the chat how well you are, how good you are at following instructions and listening carefully. Okay, so maybe if your teacher says so, you can stand up to get a bit of room. So I'll give you a few minutes to get yourself ready. Stretch out. But only if your teacher says so. Remember who's boss. All right, let's start with the first test. Are you ready? Mission control says, stretch up to try and reach a star. I can see lots of stretching. Good, good. Hold your breath. Did I catch anyone? I didn't say mission control says. I think I caught one or two of you. Okay, mission control says, check your space helmet is on tight. Check it's on. Good. Mission control says, pick up some moon rock. Pick it up. Take it back to Earth. Mission control says, take a photo of a crater. Well done. Take a small step. I didn't say mission control says. Take a giant leap. Didn't say mission control says. I think some of you are doing really well though. Mission control says, climb the steps of your lunar lander. Sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. I shouldn't be hearing any singing because I didn't say mission control says. Ready? Mission control says dodge some meteors. Move like you're on the moon. Oh, well done. You're getting good at this. No one moving because I didn't say mission control says. Play air guitar. Well done. You're catching on. Mission control says pretend to eat some space food. Mission control says freeze where you are, don't move. Mission control says sit back down where you started. And mission control says give yourselves a very big round of applause because I saw some great astronauts in training there. So I think we've got some good astronauts ready to go to the moon and see maybe if Santa's left them a present there. But our next stop after the moon is the sun. I've got a short story by St George's British International School from Rome, Italy, all about the sun.
Dear Santa Claus, how are you?
Oh, 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 very well. Oh, oh.
I'm really pleased that you're okay. I suggest you for a magic holiday on the sun for 2 reasons. The first reason it's because you need to recharge your energy. The second one is that you need a lot of vitamin D to stay safe. Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas! Ho, ho!
Well, there are a couple of really good reasons to go to the moon. To go to the sun. Energy and vitamin D. But Jenny is going to tell us a little more about our closest star.
So, should Santa visit the sun on his holiday? Let's find out a bit more about it. The sun is a huge spherical ball of hydrogen and helium. It's the only star in our solar system. It shines brightly, giving off light and heat. So if Santa travelled to the sun, how long would it take him to get there? Well, the sun is about 150 million kilometres from Earth. If Santa's reindeer can travel at the speed of light, it'll only take them 8 minutes to get there. 8 minutes to travel 150 million kilometres. That's pretty fast. If Santa visits the sun, will he have much choice on where he stays? Well, yeah, the sun is huge. It's 100 times wider than our planet Earth, and you could fit 1 million Earths inside it. Because the sun's so big, it's got loads of gravity. So as soon as Santa arrived, he'd feel as heavy as a rhinoceros, and his own weight would squish him. So Santa would need a really special spacesuit to protect him from that gravity. What's the weather like on the sun? Well, it's sunny. It's always a nice sunny, warm day on the sun. Maybe a bit too warm. The surface of the sun is 6,000 degrees Celsius. Sounds a bit warm to me. Maybe if Santa went higher up in the atmosphere, it would be cooler. Unfortunately, the atmosphere is even hotter, 36,000 degrees Celsius. Or maybe deeper down would be cooler. The sun's core is 27 million degrees Celsius. So wherever Santa went on the sun, he'd get very hot and pretty sweaty. The surface of the sun is bright, it's plasma. That's what happens when a gas gets really, really hot. So the sun's not on fire, it's powered by nuclear reactions going on in its core that's making it so hot and so bright. It's so bright, Santa would need some special sunglasses because it's as bright as 30 million billion car headlights shining at him. It also gives off ultraviolet radiation. That's the stuff that gives us sunburn. So Santa's suit would need to protect him from the gravity, the heat, the brightness of the light, and the radiation. But if you just go to the sun, will there be some exciting sights to see? Well, yeah, astronomers know quite a bit about the features of the sun from studying it using special telescopes like the Soho Observatory or sending space probes towards the sun like the Parker Solar Probe. So Santa might be able to see sunspots on the sun. These dark, cooler areas are produced by the sun's magnetic field. Or you might be able to see solar flares, huge explosions of energy caused by the magnetic fields twisting and breaking, and they can send dangerous X-rays out into space. Or you might see huge coronal loops. These arcs of gas can be thousands of kilometers long. So lots to see, though it does sound a bit scary. That was a lot of information about the sun. I want to try and remember as much as possible, but I'm a bit peckish, so I'm going to remember it while making myself a snack. So I can remember that the sun's big and round, so I'm looking around my house for a snack that's big and round, and I found a biscuit. So I'm going to turn this biscuit into a sun while I remember those facts. Now, I think the sun was yellow, it was bright and hot, wasn't it? Because those nuclear reactions were powering it, so it was shining, and it was 6,000 degrees at the surface. So I need to make my biscuit a bit brighter. So I'm going to cover it in some yummy lemon curd. So I'm just going to cover my biscuit in lemon curd. And here we go. It's looking a lot brighter and yellower, a lot more sun-like now. And I remember the sun had some features on it, didn't it? It had some sunspots, some dark, cool areas. I've got some chocolate raisins that I think would make some good dark, cool areas and sunspots. I'm going to stick a few sunspots on my sun. There we go. And there were some other features, weren't there, caused by the magnetism of the sun. There were some flares that let off dangerous X-rays into space. I've got a marshmallow, so I'm going to add that to my sun. Gone a bit dark here. I think the sun's gone in. And I remember there were those huge coronal loops. I've got some strawberry laces. Can you see them? I'm going to add my strawberry laces to my sun. It's a bit fiddly, but oh, there we go. There's my sun. I've got my bright 6,000 degree surface. I've got my sunspots, I've got my flares, I've got my loops. And I can also remember that the sun was 150 million kilometers away, which is a long way. But luckily, my snack is right here for me to enjoy.
Well, thank you, Jenny. That looked very delicious. I think I'm going to have to make myself a sun biscuit later as well. But I think we need to think about a few other places that Santa could maybe go to. So I'm going to try and suggest he goes to one of the rocky planets. Now, we live on a rocky planet. We live on the Earth. And so I think he might want to go somewhere that's not too different from home. So I want to have a quick look at the rocky planets, but they're nice and varied. There's lots of different things that Santa can do on the different rocky planets. He could have a nice hot time on some of the planets, or he could go somewhere that's quite cold, like his normal home at the North Pole. Perhaps he wants a really long day so he can have plenty of time relaxing, or maybe a really long night to sleep through, because he sometimes has to work for very long nights, doesn't he? Or maybe he just wants plenty of sunshine. So the first place I think he should have a look at is Mercury. Now, Mercury has lots of sunshine all the time because there are no clouds at all. So it's a great place if he wants lots of sunshine. But one of the reasons there are no clouds is there's no air for the clouds to be in. So there's no air to breathe, and that might be a bit of a problem. Has to make sure he has a really good spacesuit with lots of oxygen to breathe. The day's also nice and long. It's 50 times longer than the Earth, so it gives him plenty of time to relax, which would be really good. But the scenery might be a bit dull. There's lots and lots of rocks, but that's sort of it. There's no oceans, there's no trees, there's nothing really interesting to look at except rocks. So maybe he'd want somewhere that's got a little bit more life to it, a little bit more atmosphere, which might mean Venus. Now, Venus has got a really thick atmosphere. There's lots and lots of atmosphere on Venus, and that makes it hot, really hot. Even though it's further away from the sun than Mercury is, it's actually hotter. It's so hot, in fact, that some kinds of metal melt. So we'd have to be very careful that everything he took with him is made of metal that doesn't melt when it gets really hot. But although it's really hot, there's no sunshine at all. It's just cloudy all day and all night, and the days are very, very long. When Santa gets up, he might have to wait 3,000 hours until he can go to bed again, which to me I think is a little bit long. I think I'd get a bit too tired then, but maybe Santa can do that. The other problem with all the clouds on Venus is it means it rains a lot, and it doesn't just rain water, it can rain acid, which might make a real mess of Santa's nice red suit. So he has to make sure he's got something to protect him from the acid rain. That's a tricky one. But I think there's a little bit more to hear about Venus. So we're going to hear a little bit from St. George's International School in Rome. He'll give you a little bit of idea about where he might stay on Venus.
Another wonderful day in Venus. Who will it be? Who is it?
Ho, ho, ho! It's Santa Claus! I heard a lot of people talk goodly about your resort, so explain me a bit about it.
Well, the planet is 460 million cubic meters. There's nobody, so people can't argue about presents or kids asking you, well, can I have presents? Can I have presents? So, and then there's not much food. So if you want to lose weight, you can not eat that much and eat not much, but like we have some crackers and that stuff. Then we have a pool if you want to swim, relax. A rocky gym. Well, the pool, there's not much water in Venus, so we have 3 or 6 spaceships coming to Earth to get the water. Then the place is 800 degrees Celsius, so it's pretty good for someone in the snow like you that always is in the snow. Then If you want to lose weight, you can also go to our gym where you can run and do exercise. And it costs about €300 for VIP and 100 normal.
Oh, it sounds like a wonderful deal.
That does indeed sound like a wonderful deal. I wonder if Santa would take me with him if he went to Venus, because that sounds like a really nice place to be. Thank you, St. George's. But there's another rocky planet that I think Santa should think about, because it's I think possibly my favourite planet, although I shouldn't really say that. And that's Mars. Now, I think Santa would feel nice and light here, because there's some lovely scenery that he can bounce around in, because gravity is really low, and so he can bounce around and enjoy the scenery. And there's mountains and there's canyons and there's ice caps and all sorts of interesting things to look at. And it's very dry. He doesn't have to worry about rain at all. Might even be a bit too dry. You have to make sure he takes plenty of water with him to drink, I think, because it's all really deserts and sandy. Nice to look at, but you want to have plenty of water. But those deserts are red. The sand on Mars is red because it's got lots of rusty iron in it. And he likes red, so maybe he'll like these red sandy deserts. So I think Mars is quite a good place, but there's one other rocky planet I want to talk about, and that's Ceres. You might not have heard of Ceres, but Ceres is a dwarf planet like Pluto, but it's a lot closer to us. It's between Mars and Jupiter, so it's a lot closer than Pluto is. It's still a little bit cold, might even be a bit too cold for Santa, but nowhere near as cold as Pluto. But the amazing thing about Ceres is it's quite small, and so there's very little gravity, and he'll be able to make enormous jumps. He could jump straight up 100 meters into the air, which I think would be great fun. I think he'd really enjoy that. There's also not very much to look at. It's all grey rocks and craters and things like that. But just a second, did you just see a little white spot go past? There's one now. I wonder what that white spot is. That looks really interesting. Maybe Santa could go and do some exploring. So there's some of the rocky planets that Santa might want to try and visit. But of course, there are other planets that are not rocky. And now Sally is going to tell you all about the gas giant planets.
So the gas giants, if Santa fancies something a bit different to the inner rocky planets, then maybe the gas giants will be his dream destination. It's a good job Santa likes it cold. He'll be needing more than his fur coat on these planets though. Freezing temperatures and storms that last hundreds of years. There won't be any walking on these planets either. They're all made from gas. It's a good job he can fly with the help of his reindeer. So Jupiter is the next planet, and it's the biggest planet in the solar system, but it has wild winds raging across its surface. Can you see them in those bands as the planet spins? One of the most famous tourist destinations is Jupiter's Great Red Spot. If Santa fancies a close-up, he'll have to hold on tight to his hat. Here's a story by St. George's International School in Rome, Italy.
3, 2, 1, blast off! And the rocket shot through the air with such force that Santa's beard went on his face. The rocket was zooming past the moon and Mars, and it arrived to Jupiter in no time. A loudspeaker suddenly said, "Welcome to Jupiter." Santa gazed at the swirling clouds running round and round. There was a bang, and suddenly all he saw was red, white, and orange smoke around him. The rocket loomed onto a really big red spot, as big as 3 Earths. All of a sudden, lightning flashed, thunder cracked, and a big grey tornado appeared out of nowhere, and Santa was bouncing off the walls of a gleaming rocket, tossed and turned around the rocket, all the way through the red spot, until the tornado finally faded. The rocket gently flew back into the smoke. It seemed like many days passed by before he came onto the other side of the planet. Santa gave a last look at Jupiter, then he turned his head and he saw Mars come and go, the moon appearing and disappearing, and finally the Earth looming ahead. Soon he was back on Earth in the enormous room. He took off the suit and helmet, and then glanced around. The man who had flung the suit at him was running up to him, calling, "Santa! Santa!" Then he opened his eyes, and all of a sudden he realized he was awake in his house. Mr. Santa was shaking him, saying, "Santa, wake up!" "I am awake now," yawned Santa. "I had the most peculiar dream." The end.
So next we're going to have a quick interruption for a quick news break from St Matthew's Catholic Primary School.
Hello and welcome to an SMP news update. As Christmas approaches, our thoughts turn to Father Christmas and what he is up to preparing to deliver presents over the Christmas period.
SMP News Science reporters have learned that Father Christmas has been looking to visit some venues a bit further afield in hope of spotting a possible new site for a toy workshop.
Yes, that's right. Santa has been thinking of taking a space vacation to look for a suitably snowy site for his elves to work. Our researchers at the SMP Space Centre have some ideas of possible holiday destinations that might fulfill his requirements for a workshop.
Let's hand over to our reporters at the SMP Space Centre to see what our scientists have to say about it.
Thank you. Yes, we are at SMP Space Centre here in Prudhoe, where researchers have been working hard to try to come up with some possible holiday destinations for Father Christmas. They have found some out-of-this-world experiences for our festive friends.
Let's have a chat with one of the researchers at the centre to see what they have come up with. This is Stan Toogood, and he has been looking at some possible options for Santa. So, can you tell us what you have found?
Hi. Well, we've been wondering if Father Christmas's workshop might not be located in the Arctic, but on one of the icy moons of Saturn or Jupiter, like Enceladus or Europa. They are full of ice and snow and can be perfect.
We asked our scientists over in the university what they thought. Let's hear from them now.
Well, although the moons of Saturn would be nice and icy and might look very festive, the midday temperatures are around minus 200 degrees Celsius, which might be a little chilly, even for Santa and his elves.
The moons for Jupiter are a little nearer at only 588 million kilometres, so wouldn't be so far for him to travel. But the problems for the intense radiation around them might cause a health and safety problem for him.
Space scientists continue to research the moon in our solar system as possible places for life, though at the moment it doesn't look like most of them would be suited to Santa.
So, it would seem that if Santa is looking for a destination to explore for a workshop, he should perhaps stay a little close to Earth.
Yes, maybe a trip to our moon might be the first place to try, and if he hurries up, he might get a base built there before the next moon mission in 2024. Good luck, Santa!
That's all from SMP News for now. We wish you all a Merry Christmas and we hope Santa enjoys a trip out of this world after his busy time over the holidays.
Goodbye for now.
So all of the gas giants have rings, but our next planet is Saturn, and Saturn has the most famous rings. They are the biggest and the brightest. The rings spin in the same direction as the planet. Maybe if Santa was visiting Saturn, he could go surfing on the rings of Saturn. If you've got a hula hoop, maybe you can give it a try and see if you can be Saturn later. So Santa likes the North Pole here on Earth, but maybe he could also visit the North Pole on Saturn. Can you see that hexagon shape? That's a swirling storm at the North Pole. What a beautiful shaped storm. But Santa probably won't want to get too close. That storm is about the same size as Earth, even bigger. If that wasn't enough, Saturn has lots of moons, more than any of the other planets in the solar system. Maybe Santa could go moon hopping and see lots of different places in one holiday. Sounds too much like work for Santa, like when he has to visit lots of places all over the world on Christmas Day. I think he needs a proper rest. Let's check out the next planet. If Santa's looking for a home from home, then Uranus might be a holiday for him. Even though it's not the furthest planet from the Sun, the coldest temperatures in the solar system have been found on Uranus. It's one of the 2 icy giants. For Santa, Uranus has something extra special to offer too. Diamond rain. It has methane in the atmosphere that gets super squashed till it makes diamond. Santa could take some presents and bring them back to Earth. One thing Santa might have to get used to whilst he's there, though, is that everything will be sideways. We think that Uranus got pushed over by a big rock in the early days of the solar system, which instead of spinning this way, it spins this way. So Neptune is the furthest planet from the Sun and is the other icy giant. Here on Earth, you get a birthday once every time the Earth goes round the Sun. Neptune is so far away that it takes 165 Earth years to go round the Sun once. That's a very long time to wait for your next birthday on Neptune. What does Neptune offer Santa on holiday? Well, it gets about 1,000 times less sunshine than the Earth, so it's going to be very dark and gloomy. Maybe it would be a good place for Santa to get some rest and have a proper sleep. So that's all of our planets. So where do you want to take Santa on holiday? Will it be the Sun, our star? It's hot, 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 so Santa better pack lots of sun cream. Or maybe Mercury, its day is longer than its year. Santa could really enjoy lots to do each day. It's going to need a spacesuit to breathe there. Venus, also really hot, but it's only got clouds every day, and it's very smelly. The Moon, very close to home, just a reindeer hop away, and it's got great views of Earth. Mars, the red planet, matches Santa's suit. Jupiter, the biggest planet with the famous tourist attraction, the Great Red Spot. Or how about Saturn? The gas giants all have rings, but this planet's are the biggest and brightest. Uranus, the coldest planet. Maybe Santa likes it that way. Home from home like the North Pole. Neptune, the furthest planet from the Sun and very dark. Maybe somewhere for Santa to get some sleep. And what about the dwarf planets, Ceres and Pluto and friends? There's very little gravity, so it could jump really, really high. Which destination do you want Santa to visit?
There was a lot of choice there. Thanks, Sally. We've got lots of options to choose from, and you all get to decide. You will get to vote on where Santa should go. So if you're in a class, your class gets 1 vote and your teacher will cast your vote for you. We've got the information on the screen for the teacher, so they need to go to that web address, vvox.app, on a computer or their phone or a tablet, anything connected to the internet. So if they go to that web address and put in that ID code 155579776, they can choose an option of one of those destinations. So you need to decide as a group, as a class, if you're with lots of people, where Santa should go. We're going to give you 3 minutes to make your decision and to cast your vote. So you need to make sure you've got your vote in before the timer stops. Okay, everybody ready? You've got 3 minutes to decide and cast your vote, starting about now. It looks like the winner is Mars. So it looks like Santa wants to go to the red planet that matches his coat, have a jump around on the weaker gravity, maybe stop off at Mars's 2 moons, look out for any aliens that might be there. That's great. So we wish Santa a very happy holiday on his way to Mars. Enjoy your trip, Santa. So So I think we've come to the end of our tour and we've told Santa where to go, but we've still got some things to do. So we're going to have some questions, I think. Is that right, Stacey?
Yes. So thank you to everyone who got in touch with us with some questions before the event started. I know we've had some while the event's been going on as well, and we'll try and answer as many as we can, but we've only got 14 minutes left. So our first question is, do you believe in life elsewhere? And if so, when do you think we'll find it? And this is from Lara and Thomas. So Jenny, how about you answering this one? What do you think?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think S&P News gave us a good update about our solar system earlier and mentioned that some moons of Saturn or Jupiter might be a good place to look for life in our own solar system, because they have the ingredients for life, organic stuff and water. But I think if there was intelligent life in our solar system, we'd probably have noticed it by now. But maybe there are some little microbes out there. I think that could be possible. Outside of our solar system, there are other planets called exoplanets. All the stars you see in the sky at night probably have a few exoplanets orbiting them. And maybe one of those exoplanets has the right conditions for life. So it's the right temperature, it's got the right atmosphere, got the right chemicals. So maybe there might be intelligent life on an exoplanet. But finding it is the tricky thing because space is so big. There are some big space telescopes like the Kepler telescopes looking at exoplanets, and they're going to launch a new space telescope called the James Webb Space Telescope to investigate atmospheres of exoplanets and look if they might be right for life. Because space is so big, it could take a long time and we'd need to be looking in the right place at the right time to catch it. So hopefully, but I don't know when.
Thanks, Jenny. So the next question we've got is, why does gravity change strength on different planets and moons? This is from Year 5 at the grammar school at Leeds Primary. And this is a really good question. It basically comes down to one thing, and that is size. The more massive, the bigger and the more a planet weighs, or a star or a moon, the more gravity it will have. So it all comes down to mass and size. If you want to get really complicated, it's also got a little bit to do with how dense the planet is. So obviously rocky planets are much denser than the gas giants. So they've got a little bit more gravity than you'd expect them to have for the size of them. But that's the primary thing, the main thing that changes the gravitational strength on the different places is the mass of the objects. That was an excellent question. The next one is from Viola, and that question is, why are cold stars red and blue stars hot instead of red stars hot and cold stars blue? So Andy, do you want to have a go answering this one?
Oh, I like this question. This is really good, because yes, some stars are really, really hot and some aren't as hot, but actually there are no really cold stars. There are just stars that aren't as hot as other stars. And anything that starts to get a bit hot begins to glow. So if you take something and you heat it up a little bit, it'll start to glow a dull red. And if you heat it up a little bit more, it'll go a brighter red. And you heat it up a little bit more and it'll get an orange colour. And that's what's happening with stars. The hotter they get, the colour changes. And so if you get something and you heat it up until it's really hot, it'll start turning blue or white hot. And so the hottest stars are really hot, and so they glow blue. Whereas the stars which we think of as a bit cooler, they only glow red, but they're still very hot. They're still thousands of degrees centigrade. And so that's why the cooler stars, which are thousands of degrees centigrade, glow red, but the really hot stars, which are tens of thousands of degrees centigrade, they'll glow blue.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Andy. A bit like your Bunsen burners at school, when you get to use one, probably when you go into secondary school, you get to use Bunsen burners, and it's the same with the flames there. So the next question, again from Year 5 at the grammar school in Leeds Primary, is, what is a supernova? Well, this is actually the area of astronomy that I work on, and a supernova is basically a star that explodes. So all stars are born, live a life and die, just like everything else that we know. Very, very massive stars, so stars that are 8 times the mass of the sun, anywhere up to about 200 times the mass of the sun. All these massive stars die in what's called a supernova, and it only happens to really big stars, but when they get to the end of their lifetime, they run out of the fuel that's been powering them. And when they run out of the fuel, it happens very quickly, and the star collapses down, and it bounces off the core in the middle, and it explodes, which sends all of the material that was in the star out into space. So don't worry, our sun won't explode like this. Our sun will have a bit more of a gracious end, and that won't happen for another 4-5 billion years. So we've got plenty of time. But the big stars, they're the ones that go bang in what's called a supernova. And the next question we've got is, what is the strangest thing you've ever seen in space? And this is from Oakdean Primary School, and I think Sally is going to have a go at answering this one.
Thanks. So what a great question. I'm really lucky because I'm an astronomer and I've got to see some really strange things in space. One of them is an object called a pulsar, and Stacey's just explained what a supernova is. And so some stars, the biggest stars, when they get to the end of their life and they explode in a supernova, what you get left with is a dense core star. And a pulsar is a special type of those. It's a dead spinning star. So if anybody ever asks you what a pulsar is, say a dead spinning star. And I got to discover some of those. So I've discovered some pulsars, and they're all in our galaxy. And pulsars are these dead spinning stars, and as they spin, we detect the radiation from them in these almost like bleeps. And that's why they're called pulsars, this pulsating star.
That's a great answer. It's not every day you get to meet someone who's discovered something in space, is it? Okay. Our next question is, have you ever seen the Milky Way, and what was the first thing you saw when you pointed your first telescope into the sky? Well, I'm going to answer that one first. I have seen the Milky Way, but it took me a long time to see it. The first time I saw the Milky Way really clearly was when I went to use some telescopes in Chile in South America, and the telescopes there are in deserts very high up in the mountains, and it gives you a very, very clear sky. And I got to see the big band of the Milky Way, and because I was in the southern hemisphere, I could also see some other tiny galaxies called the Magellanic Clouds, and you can only see them when you're in the southern hemisphere, but it makes for a very different Milky Way. The first thing I saw when I pointed a telescope into the sky, so I never had a telescope growing up, and the first time I got to look through one was actually when I started to study at university, and we all went on a field trip to Tenerife to use the telescopes there, and the first object that we looked at was the planet Saturn, and I honestly thought that someone had just stuck a piece of paper to the other side of the machine I was looking through, because it was just this perfect picture of a planet that you'd never get to see in that much detail just using your eyes. So the telescopes help us to magnify everything so we can see them much more clearly, and I thought that was just amazing. Sally, how about you?
So I grew up in a city, and I didn't really get to see really any stars growing up, apart from I used to go camping lots, and when I went camping I used to get really dark skies, which meant that I saw lots and lots of stars. And I remember looking up and seeing this big bright band across the sky, and that band is actually the Milky Way. But the other thing is that I've been very lucky to travel across the world in my job as an astronomer, and I've been to both the northern and southern hemisphere. And from the southern hemisphere, you can actually see different parts of space, and that includes the Milky Way. You can actually see a different part of the Milky Way, and it's even brighter in the southern hemisphere. So if you've ever been to, say, Australia or South Africa, or South America, from there you actually see this really bright band across the sky.
We're very lucky as astronomers to be able to travel around the world and see things like this, and go to places with very, very dark skies, so it's a bit of a privilege for this job. How about your favourite planet? So Jenny, what's your favourite planet?
Oh, that's tricky because as we've seen today, they've all got some exciting features. I think my favourite planet I've ever seen is Jupiter. I've seen Jupiter through binoculars and a telescope, and I like it because you can see its big moons, the big Galilean moons going around it. Because Jupiter's got over 70 moons, I think, but 4 of them are really huge, so you can use some binoculars and try and spot it. At the moment, you can see Jupiter in the sky around sunset. It will be quite low in the west. It will be a really bright thing, and the other really bright thing next to it is Saturn. They're really close in the sky at the moment, so have a look up at the sky the next few nights if you can, and see if you can spot some bright things that don't twinkle. And they're probably planets, and the brightest one is Jupiter. So yeah, I think Jupiter because it's giant, it's got all those moons, it's got a big red spot.
What about you, Andy? What's your favourite planet?
Oh, I think this is tricky. I used to think it was Mars, but actually thinking about it, I think my favourite planet is probably Mercury because it's really hard to see. It's so close to the sun that you can only see it very occasionally just after sunset and just before the sun rises in the morning. And so you have to work a bit to see Mercury, and I've only seen it 3 times. So every time it was really exciting.
That's great, Andy. I think we've probably run out of time to do any more questions. But I know Andy just wants to say something before we head off.
I do. I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to lots of different people. I want to say thank you to you for helping Santa choose where he's going to go. I think he's going to have a really nice time on Mars, and maybe he'll bring back Mars bars for everybody. And I want to say thank you to all your teachers for helping to organise all this. I know it's a lot of work and a lot of effort to get these things going, but I hope you think it was worthwhile. And if you've got any pictures that you want to share with us of your class enjoying this, then please email them to us on the email address that you got the instructions from, or put them on social media if you're happy to share them there. But finally, I'd like to say a really big thank you to all of the National Schools Observatory team who've put a huge amount of work into this. And I think you can all agree that they've done an absolutely fantastic job. So can we give them all a really big round of applause, please? Thank you very much indeed. And finally, I just want to say, I hope you've enjoyed Santa's Space Vacation. And I hope you'll go away thinking about all the different places in the solar system that maybe you might be able to visit one day in the future. And I hope you go away and have a really nice Christmas break and a really splendid New Year. So thank you all very much and goodbye for now.